Walk into any grocery store and you'll see protein-packed everything. Cereals, granola bars, chips, even ice cream. It seems like every food brand is jumping on the high-protein trend, plastering labels with claims like extra protein or muscle fueling. But is this surge of protein-enhanced foods actually beneficial? Or is it just another marketing gimmick? From Wits and Weights, I'm Philip Pape, and this is Nutrition Science Daily, bringing you the latest in nutrition, fat loss, and health science, all in under 5 minutes. I watched the Super Bowl, and there was a commercial for Oikos yogurt, one of the brands I enjoy myself, and the main selling point was that it was high in protein, which is great for building muscle, and I thought, this is amazing. I am happy to see that that is now a selling point. And there was a recent article that dived into the explosion of protein in processed foods as well. And I wouldn't put Greek yogurt necessarily in that category, although almost any food in the grocery store is going to be processed if it isn't just produce or meat, for example. And the article looked at consumer demand and the drawbacks. And today we're going to break it down, give you the evidence-based take on what you need to know. So why are people all of a sudden protein obsessed? And by the way, I don't think that's a bad thing to be obsessed with protein. Protein's always been a powerhouse macronutrient. It is the anchor macro, the way I like to put it. But over the past decade, it's become one of the kings of the nutrition trends. And there's a few obvious reasons. And a lot of these I'm actually totally on board with. The first one is satiety and weight loss or fat loss or body composition. Higher protein diets are linked to better appetite control, improved satiety, which is fullness, and potentially better body composition outcomes compared to lower protein diets. Absolutely, especially when you're combining it with strength training. And that leads me to the second piece of this, of the value of protein for muscle growth and performance. Because when you're training, which everyone should be doing, plus adequately eating protein, you're going to have better muscle repair, recovery, and growth if you're that active training individual. And then the shift from low fat to high protein, back in the day, like starting in the 80s and even in the 90s before the low carb craze, the low fat or the fat free craze was the big marketing buzzword. And now brands have pivoted to high protein, pushing that as the key to fitness and health. And honestly, I can't totally disagree with that, can I? Are there downsides of these foods? Well, protein itself is amazing. The way that food companies sneak it into ultra-processed foods, that isn't always beneficial. I would say that if you had ultra-processed foods with less protein versus higher, then maybe the trade-off is at least a net benefit. But many high-protein products aren't necessarily quote-unquote healthy, right? Just because a snack bar has 10 grams of protein doesn't mean it's the best choice for you. It may be packed with a whole bunch of sugar or oils, artificial sweeteners, other foods, maybe too many carbs or too few carbs. It really depends on your goals and what you're looking to support. You don't just pick a product because it says it is quote-unquote high protein. And by the way, sometimes it's not really accurate. It's just higher than normal, but it's still not that high relative to other foods. Also, more isn't always better, right? If you are getting enough protein from whole foods, meat, dairy, eggs, plant-based, legumes, an extra high protein cookie or processed shake isn't necessarily going to add benefit. Obviously, there are exceptions, like if you get a Fairlife Core milk where it's pretty much just milk with a lot of protein, I would see that as pretty protein dense and not a terrible choice at all. But like a high protein cookie that's got a whole bunch of other stuff in there, just look at it as a cookie. It's fine, and it has protein. Okay, so it will contribute to your protein, but it might also crowd out some other nutrient-dense foods. That's the balanced, reasonable approach we have to take. The other thing is the cost versus benefit. A lot of these high-protein processed foods are actually a lot more expensive than the non-protein counterparts with not that much additional benefit other than the protein. And so I'd rather you have like Greek yogurt or boiled eggs or, lean meat, or, tuna, whatever, that give you more protein per dollar than like a protein-infused granola bar, right? Again, it's all a matter of choice and balance. So if you're focusing on real nutrition and fueling your body, you want to have a lot of protein, and most of it should come from whole, minimally processed sources. But some of it could absolutely come from some of these other processed sources. It's really all about balance. So start with lean meats, poultry, fish, eggs, dairy, tofu, tempeh, legumes. All of these are great sources of protein. Use protein supplements strategically. Whey, casein, or plant-based powders like pea and rice are a great choice for convenience, but shouldn't replace whole meals if you can get the predominance of your protein from whole meals. And always just read the labels, right? If you're going to grab that protein bar, check the calories, the sugar, the ingredients, whatever you care about to make sure if it's worth it for you. And always remember to balance your macros per your goals. You're going to have a decent amount of protein, and then the fats or carbs will float depending on if you are in fat loss or building muscle. So just don't fall for the hype. That's all I can say here. Protein is absolutely essential. It's part of a balanced diet. Just because something says high protein, it's not automatically quote unquote healthy, right? No food is really healthy or unhealthy technically. And many of these are ultra processed foods first and protein sources second. All right. If you want real nutrition advice that cuts through the noise, join our Wits and Weights Facebook group. Link in the show notes. There you'll find like-minded lifters, nutrition geeks, coaches, everybody who actually care about evidence-based strategies, and they'll give you some options on how to get your protein if that's what you're struggling with. So join the Wits and Weights Facebook group. And tomorrow we're going to answer the question, what if body weight is one of the least useful numbers you could track? Hit follow and find out the answer tomorrow.